So I like to talk about the Casio MQ24 as someone with a small wrist. Some might say the same width as black and white Mickey Mouse in Steamboat Willie. Same with the black and white theme. But let me zoom in here so it doesn't look as small. Now I've owned this watch for a while and I want to share 4 pros and 2 cons and just some general comments on this watch as someone with a small wrist. Just as a frame of reference, by the way, I have a 6¼ inch or 16 centimeter wrist circumference and a wrist width or wrist table of roughly 2 inches. But first let's talk about the boring stuff. The dimensions. So I got 32.5 millimeters from the 12 to the 6. From the 9 to the 3, including the crown, I got a very strange 36 millimeters, and also the same as the lug to lug. The plastic, I was about to say glass, but really it's just plastic. I got 29 millimeters going across, and the band starts out at 19, and it tapers down to 18. But why did I buy this watch? I would say it comes down to curiosity. Now, I already knew before buying this watch that it was a cheap watch. Obviously, you can see the price. I've seen the pictures, I've seen all of the reviews, but my brother had this watch, surprisingly. He doesn't even wear watches, but he had this watch. And so my curiosity got the best of me and I added this to my collection to just see how it would feel wearing a watch like this. So let's talk about the pros. And the first pro, it is simple. Now, whether I'm looking at a $1,000 watch or this simple Casio, I know that I can accomplish my goal of telling the time. The watch face is so simple to read that I love it. I love the simplicity. Almost as simple as reading a digital watch. There's no day of the week, there's no date window, there's no ana-digital display. It's just numbers and hands that go around and around. And I'm not really into minimalism, but I will say that I appreciate simplicity. Pro number 2, the weight. Boy, let me tell you, this watch is light. I mean, after wearing, metal watches, steel watches, after a while, it can get a little heavy. And you put this on for a day or half a day, and it's nice. It feels good. It's kind of refreshing and freeing in a way. And the fact that it's so thin off to the side, such a nice low profile, it makes it almost disappear on your wrist. Like you can't even feel it. For pro number 3, the fit. Now, when I tried on my brother's watch, I knew that it was kind of small. He has actually a bigger wrist than I do, and he felt comfortable wearing it. And so I was like, oh, all right, well, I have a small wrist. Let me try it on. And yeah, at first I was like, in the 30s, and it's kind of small. But actually, it's sort of grown on me, and I think the more and more you wear it, the more and more comfortable you get. My mom also wears this watch, which I think is kind of funny. But it's small, it's thin, and I think it works better that way. If it was like small and thick, it would be weird, but the fact that it's small, relatively small, I should say, and very thin and light, I just think that it works. And pro number 4, this thing makes a statement. I feel like if you wear this watch or any of the variations of this watch, I think you're making a pretty big statement. Now, I know we're supposed to wear watches because, we love them. Right? It's mostly for us, but there's a small part of us, sometimes bigger than others, but it's a small part of us. There's a part of us that we're wearing watches really for other people to kind of take a notice. And in a world full of people wearing smartwatches or really expensive watches that are flashy, this is a very nice change of pace. It doesn't try to be expensive. It's just simple. And by wearing this watch, I think other people who wear watches will notice it. And I don't think what you're trying to convey is, oh, look how cheap and poor I am. I think if I saw somebody wear this watch in public, I know it's intentional. And I just think, wow, they like and appreciate a watch that is simple. But now let's move on to the cons. It's the cheap materials. Now, obviously, for the price that you pay for this watch, you can't expect much, and you probably already know that. It doesn't mean the watch is going to break or that it's going to be it's going to knock out on you, but it is hard to ignore the plastic acrylic on the front. It's hard to ignore that, and the strap, it's a little flimsy, very thin plastic. And con number 2, humility. Now, this isn't really a con, to be honest. It's more like commentary. This watch really humbles me as someone who is pursuing watch collecting as a hobby. because functionally it accomplishes what watches are primarily meant to do, which is to tell the time. Yeah, it doesn't have all the fancy stuff. It's not like I'm climbing mountains and I need to know the altitude and the weather. I mean, yeah, we have our smartphones these days, which to me, way more information, way more distractions, but way more information than probably any watch needs to offer. But when I wear this watch, I'm just reminded that I could spend all this money on a really nice timepiece, fancy, all nice things. Spend all this time researching it, but really, I don't really need more than this. And this watch serves as a reminder that this is enough, really. And to not go too overboard in collecting watches and spending time watching videos and looking at reviews. So what started out as a curiosity has turned into something more. This watch is so simple and humbling. And while it's not my daily watch, I do wear it occasionally to remind myself that watches are meant primarily to tell the time. I mean, sure, you can show off your wealth or your apparent wealth by flashing something expensive or fancy, and honestly, most people aren't even going to notice. But it's very freeing to wear a watch this simple, to appreciate a watch that has such great simplicity and quality, again, made out of cheap materials, but just the quality of it. I appreciate it every single time that I do wear it. So, thanks for watching.